Hello and welcome. My screen name is Covert Muffin, and we are going to be bringing you the next exciting match for the Ori and the Blind Forest Randomizer Tournament Swiss round number 3 match between Nfnite and FluffyPrower. Joined with me is none other than J Hobbs. How's it going, man?
It's going great. I'm pretty excited for this one. A little early by my standards, but not by most. Should be exciting. And the interesting thing about this matchup, you can see it right there at the top of your screen, is that this is actually a 1-1 versus 0-2 matchup. So Nfnite has actually gone 1-1, has won one game, lost one game, and Fluffy has lost both their games so far, but this is kind of on that fringe line, so it should still be a pretty close matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I suspect this one could be pretty close, and this one's very important for Fluffy, who is definitely a veteran of the randomizer, has been around since the initial release of the randomizer itself, but being down 2 losses is going to mean he needs to win his next 3 matches in a row if he wants to be able to qualify for the next stage of the tournament, which is going to be brackets.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody who is 3-2, has a 3-2 record in the Swiss round or better, will be moving on to brackets. So obviously losing one more would put Fluffy at 3 losses and would not be able to hit that 3-2 benchmark. So like you said, very important match for Fluffy today. Nfnite obviously still has that little bit of padding, so can afford to lose this one. And we'll have to see if that determination is what gives Fluffy the edge here.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome because there's so many different openings that come about in the beginning of the randomizer. What's some of your favorite skills to find early, Hobbs, in a rando?
Oh man, I've got a ranking system for this. You ready? Okay. Charge jump first. Charge jump I think is my favorite skill to see right off the bat because it gives you the ability to gain a lot of height, right? It gives you the ability to access almost all vertical pickups that you need early on. Yeah. Also allows you to deal a lot of damage. And is just kind of nice for traversal, for getting over some gaps and stuff like that. And you can almost completely clear glades with it. So that's something that's really useful. We obviously have our runners almost ready to go here. But I'd say charge jump is probably my biggest, with double jump being right after that. What about for you, Muffin, as these runners get underway?
Yeah, you know, I really love those weird non-wall jump seeds. So like charge jump is always really awesome because the next wall interaction you might find is either wall jump, or it could be climb, right? And that's 2/3 the way to a grenade jump seed. And it looks like our runners are indeed underway. And so we are seeing the good luck on the randos as they approach their first pickup, which is going to be an energy cell. Wow, that early 2 energy is going to be really nice.
Yeah, energy is actually not the worst start here because even though it doesn't give them, really access to anything new right now, and nothing that's, within the realm of possibilities yet anyways, it always sucks to just have a 1 energy seed forever.
Yeah.
So getting to avoid that immediately is really nice. Looks like Fluffy took a hit from the Rhino there. Nothing that's going to matter because you do get a full heal at sign. But I don't know, maybe indicative of a few early nerves.
Yeah, and a mega energy, which gives a temporary 5 energy, kind of a battery. Once they spend the energy, it doesn't regenerate or it doesn't fill up and the normal means necessary, but this could allow our runners to do some nice, interesting sequence breaks, like opening the door to Death Gauntlet, which is right by the starting area, after they find either some form of verticality or wall interaction.
Yeah, I would guess that that's not probably going to happen in this case, just because of how drastically early they got that mega energy. I think they would probably opt for using that kind of thing for safety, but it also depends on what these next 2 pickups are, because if we don't see a couple keystones here, hey, it's charge jump. All right.
Yeah, well, charge jump starts are real interesting because it looks like Blackroot Burrows is definitely going to be the first play that our runners have to go into, because only having 1 keystone means that's right, left glades is closed off to our runners, and charge jump without wall interaction in Blackroot Burrows can actually be very, very tricky. But Nfnite going to be the first into the poison water, and he actually finds charge flame, so something to destroy those petrified plants as well as the blue walls is going to be really nice for our runners. And ooh, I do like this play for Fluffy. Yeah, spending that mega energy.
Just as you mentioned, now this was one of the few starts that I was alluding to could potentially actually open that door. And Nfnite with an unfortunate death there is going to not be too costly because he can just pick up charge flame, grab that ability cell that he left behind as well, and go straight back towards Blackroot again. I'm going to have to dodge the slime this time, but hopefully we'll either just stand back and take him out or get through a little bit cleaner this time. I believe he's still trying to save that energy right now, rather than make a save immediately, because as you said, that is temporary energy, and once he uses it, it's gone for good.
Yeah, maybe if he gets a useful teleporter, he's going to be able to open up an energy door they otherwise might not be able to, like if he got like Hollow Grove or something and then just went immediately into Spider Sack area. But we'll see exactly what he ends up deciding to spend it on, or maybe it's like just a bit of that safety. But Fluffy and Infinite are both into Blackroot Burrows, no wall interaction to speak of. So on the right-hand side of your screen, these vertical columns are so insanely tight to be able to land on. And he is going to have to work back. And those spikes underneath them, that's right, they deal 3 damage, and that is instant death. But Fluffy, just making it look so easy. Nice play so far.
The lack of saves are making me so nervous right now because he's already down to his 2 energy cells, right? So any saving here, he does get this energy back. So I'm always a big fan of saving before these spikes, but neither runner really caring too much. Ooh, Infinite going to pay for it, though. Although he did make a save before traversing the spikes from right to left, so at least he's not being sent all the way back to the entrance of Blackroot Burrows.
Yeah, Infinite having a little bit of a struggle here, deciding exactly how he wants to move across this pit, and it's very, very rare that you don't have wall interaction up here, but nicely done, being able to adapt and make his way back through. He is so close to the end, he just has to land on that last platform, and he got out of that really scary section. And Fluffy on the right is going to be, it looks like, the first to be able to approach to lifting the darkness and acquiring his first tree, which is going to be the dash.
Yep, and able to even make a nice cycle on the platforms here.
Nice.
Now, whenever you don't have your standard set of skills, I always wonder, if runners decide to place the orb on the moving platform like normal, or maybe take it a little bit safer, just because it's not exactly what you're used to, right? But Fluffy, showing full confidence, puts it down a little bit early, and now is going to proceed to using a save anywhere in order to skip this cutscene and be able to check some more pickups during it.
Yeah, these linear starts are really interesting, Hobbs, because it kind of just sort of ends the execution of the runner, and grabbing an early lead in here, like this extra, I don't know, maybe a minute or two that Fluffy has gained on his opponent is going to allow him a little bit of comfort as he's going to be progressing through the seed. But there is the second keystone, and that is going to get access for Fluffy to left glades, but also the boulder escape is actually in logic right now.
Yeah, very often you'd see runners actually kind of ditch that that keystone if they find one there, but because Fluffy hadn't been to this tree yet where he just picked up another keystone, he didn't know if that keystone was going to be in logic for going into left glades or not, so it's understandable to make that decision. Keep the keystones early on so that way you don't have to worry about kind of getting soft locked to a degree. Wall jump, great pickup to see here, especially because it allows them access to this plant, which indeed has Stomp.
And Hobbs, if this is right, Dash is going to be either in a glade somewhere, or has a high probability of being it, or it could just be down here at this one pickup. Because in order to be able to get wall jump, which is wall interaction, which is very required to get into a lot of areas of the map, Dash is required to get that one pickup in particular. So we could be seeing a really early dash as well.
Well, not quite showing up here right before the boulder escape. A map stone instead is the find for Fluffy. That's really nice to get right before, heading near a map stone pedestal. I don't believe Fluffy opened the floor before moving this way, the floor to lower Blackroot. So he's going to see this cutscene. Little bit of an error, I would say, but maybe just kind of forgot that he had stopped for a moment, or was kind of focusing on thinking where to go next. And like you said, Dash, we would expect to show up pretty soon, relatively early. Clean Water shows up, though, for Fluffy. That's really nice.
Yeah, Clean Water is so nice. And Dash does have a good probability of being up, just to sort of fix my statement a little bit. But it could really be like anywhere on the right side of the map, because they do actually have enough for progression to be able to get through Spider Sack area with just Charge Jump and Sea Flame.
Yeah, so it could take a while, but we at least know that it's somewhere on the right side. That it's not something that we're just not going to see this entire seed. Like it will likely show up. Fluffy also, I think, got an ability cell out of that last one, and should be able to check the longer flippers pickup here. And yes, that is what he's going to do next.
Yeah, I like this play from Fluffy, just opening that key door preemptively, just knowing that he wants to go through. He's going to hold on to his energy, which is a fine play. He could have just dropped to save and quit and reload, but it barely does save any time to be able to make that play if the pickup indeed was nothing. But Fluffy making the smart decision here. He's going to check his next tree, which is Charge Flame tree, before continuing on through glades. And the swap teleporter pickup is really nice for Fluffy.
Yeah, Swamp Teleporter is a pickup that very often you don't get until you've already gotten the teleporter manually. So
Right.
really nice to show up early. Means that you don't have to have any kind of awkward routing through the Hollow Grove area of like, all right, I'm going to go activate the teleporter and then walk all the way back down, especially if they don't find dash for a little bit. That kind of routing can just be a little obnoxious to do. Really nice to see that teleporter pickup earlier on, cut out a lot of traversal. Ooh, Fluffy making an interesting call here.
Yeah, this is pretty clever from Fluffy. He's going to come over here, the Hollow Grove teleport. We're going to see if he ends up collecting it or skipping it. He is going to skip it. All right, so he's going to skip it and then check the valley entrance. This is kind of a power play from Fluffy because he's sort of walking away from a tree when really he could just be heading down to Wall Jump Tree to get his first clue. But it's going to allow him to check 2 to 3 pickups depending on how far he wants to go. And so far, a Keystone, if you find something big here, that could be large. And Healthstone is nice, Hobbs, to get this early.
It's nice, but it's not really going to gate anything at this moment because of that clean water, meaning that the escape is already not really a worry in terms of health cells,
right.
And there aren't any deboost swims to worry about. Now, Infinite on his side is actually just kind of retracing Fluffy's steps for the moment, but is now going to change that and head back down towards the glades and wall jump area rather than continuing on to where Fluffy is. Fluffy's making some bold plays here, going all the way up to this XP in the water.
Yeah, Fluffy being really thorough with these early game checks and sort of these off locations. Getting up here with wall jump to zigzag on the spikes.
Unfortunately, this gamble didn't really pay off that well for Fluffy because Infinite just found dash at the 4th HP. So that kind of, that skill being rapidly useful for moving along the ground would have greatly aided Fluffy in his trip around Grove there for a moment in Valley. But Infinite's the first one to get it instead, and he's immediately going to check Spirit Caverns because he can grab everything with Charge Flame, with Charge Jump, and he knows he has the Swamp Teleporter. So I think this is a pretty smart play, knowing that there's not a whole lot of reason for him to go through this 4 Keystone door at any point, and is instead going to grab all these and head down towards the wall jump area.
Yeah, this is huge. Like, the skill cleanup right now for our runners is Fluffy on the right, also picking up dash is just really, really nice. They have access to every single tree on the right-hand side of the map, except for Ginzo trees. So that is 7 out of 10 trees, and they could just really quickly rush those down while they're looking for 1 or 2 other skills that would allow them to catapult themselves into go mode. And now, Infinite, with that early dash pickup, but also not digging too much above Charge trees, going to make up a lot of that time that he just lost to slight missteps in Blackroot Burrows. This is a huge play from him, just pushing down a tree. And I like that hesitation from Infinite on the left. He's at 1 health, and he has checked a lot of pickups, so just waiting for that extra safety to guarantee he doesn't have to backtrack all the way through again.
And another Mapstone's picked up, so he's going to turn right back around, head towards that pedestal, and put that in. Once again, for those who have not been watching throughout the entire tournament, Mapstones are progressive, so the number that you have picked up does not really matter. It's the number that you have turned in to the actual altars, to the pedestals. So Infinite has put in his second one. It's just experience. I imagine Fluffy's going to be making the save checks and basically following in his footsteps for the next foreseeable future here.
Yeah, here we go. On the left, we're going to get our first clue of the seed. After they unlock the first 3 trees, not counting Sign, they will actually end up getting a clue to where one of the major dungeon keys is. And Glide on Wall Jump Tree is a really nice pickup. And Sunstone in Sorrow. Wow. So having Glide, and then also knowing that Glide is going to be very useful for Sorrow, just those stacking on one another is just a beautiful find.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, they're like almost in skill go mode already.
Yeah,
it's pretty nuts. I mean, it all comes down to what the runners are comfortable with as well in terms of, certain sequence breaks and stuff like that. They would obviously love to see Bash right about now. But other than that, I mean, they can break open plants right now. They can break open blue walls. They can glide around in Sorrow. They even have clean water for the escape and stuff. Like, they are sitting pretty good right now for 12 minutes into the seed.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. And Fluffy up on 5 health too this early is going to make the mid game very forgiving. A lot of the things later on also that deal 4 or 3 damage is going to net him a little bit of safety. And Fluffy now having open Death Gauntlet right at the beginning of the seed is going to opt to go through. This will get him to the Moon Grotto TP a little bit earlier and allow him to head down to the double jump tree immediately. Infinite instead is going to be checking a little bit further away from trees by just sort of scouring around.
A timely Mega Energy for Fluffy also allowed him to check that pickup underwater there in the 4 energy door. Really nice. Unfortunately, didn't really matter. There was nothing there, but of course, you can't know that, and always good to get rid of the potential for a big pickup to be somewhere. Now, both runners, I would imagine, are going to continue doing a fair number of checks right now. Still, again, looking for Bash, most likely. Double jump would be nice. Stuff like that. Potentially grenade if they end up getting, a grenade lock pickup somewhere or a grenade lock key. But other than that, I mean, mainly I would think the trip right now is towards trees, right, Muffin?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Hobbs, because like right now they have all of the skills they need to be able to get 7 out of 10 of the trees, except for Ginso Tree because they don't have Water Vein. So just being able to really push those trees and maybe dig around for resources. And the only other thing really that they could be looking for right now on the right-hand side of the map is Bash. Double jump or something else that could be useful, like climb and grenade, could also be found on the right-hand side of the map, but based on the skill cleanup they have, it's going to be pretty unlikely. But Bash is definitely required for a lot of the left side checks, so even just getting access to be able to explore the left side does require Bash in a lot of forms of logic.
Right. Alternatively, they could find something like the Sorrow Teleporter. Ooh, Infinite and Fluffy both find Wind Restored here on the Water Vein. Very nice to get when you already have Glide. So you know that you're never going to have to worry about pulling off a Sorrow Bash. And wow, Grenade as well, showing up just past the Water Vein pickup. So there's one more skill down already. Bash really still being the one culprit here before they're in full-on tree rush mode. But for the most part, I would still think that they're going to really do their routing around heading towards a lot more trees now.
Wow, yeah, look at this. Fluffy not even checking left side of Moon Grotto, which has a really good probability of having Bash in it, but also recognizing that...
completely skipping that energy cell too. Like that's really that's Fluffy showing, hey, I am in full-on tree rush mode. Like he's just gonna rush trees right now. Isn't too worried about his ability to go to the left side of the map yet, because otherwise, you would just drop back down and lose the 2 seconds to go check that energy cell pickup, right?
Yeah, for sure. And this is an interesting play from Fluffy. He's saying that there's still a chance that I could just end up finding Bash if I just end up rushing trees. And if I instead waste all my time digging in these off areas, if Bash ends up being on a tree or close to a tree, I'll just have wasted all that time. So instead just opting to go for the trees and then maybe potentially sacrificing some time in backtracking when he decides to check other stuff. But yeah, he's actually going to be heading to the Swamp Teleporter next. I imagine this might bring him over to the Stomp Tree area.
Yeah, possibly. Or maybe going to do a little bit of cleanup in the Kuro cutscene area, but we'll see. Otherwise, he might have, wanted to go up to the Grotto Teleporter to go to Swamp. Right. Meanwhile, we're seeing Infinite take the opposite stance. He's still full clear in Grotto. Not a bad decision. As we mentioned, Bash is going to be a key... Bash or a Teleporter for the left side. It's going to be a key limiting factor here. I do like how much health the runners already have. Always nice to see, 6 or more health early on, so that you know that you can at least take a damage boost from almost anything in the game. Really useful for later on when they kind of go to left side.
Yeah, that's a good point, Hobbs. Like, the 6-7 health range with Ultra Defense is, or even without, is kind of a magical range to be in. They already have Glide, so Sorrow is a piece of cake, but there's some other damage boosty areas that might require them to get through if they never find Bash.
Oh, wow, there it is.
That is the one pickup that Fluffy was looking for. Left side access without Bash. That one pickup Sorrow Tiki is going to get him close to a tree in Sorrow, and then he has the necessary skills and the health to be able to damage boost through, but then also he can backtrack through to be able to get back into Valley to be able to check the last piece.
So while that is nice because it means that definitively they have a way to go to the left side right now, it's also a little scary because it means Bash is suddenly in a significantly large extra number of pickups, right? Like it could potentially be in a lot of the pickups in Sorrow. So you still never tend to want to complete the seed without Bash, so you would like for it to show up. But at this point, I can only imagine Fluffy's going to accelerate his rushing of trees rather than slow it down by any means.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Hobbs. That's another advantage for Fluffy here, is that he knows that now the logic has opened up into Sorrow for Bash to be able to over in that location. And we keep mentioning this one skill a lot, And you may or may not know exactly what it does, but it is probably one of the most powerful and versatile skills in the entire speedrun, and really significantly decreases the time for us to finish seeds. But Fluffy now, coming up to Stomp Tree, is going to be taking a nice tree advantage as he's going to be heading into the mid-game of this seed.
And when you, oh wow, there's double jump off of the Stomp Tree. Really nice to get. Again, not quite bash, but at least it's another skill. And when you say tree vantage there, what could you explain that just a little bit more? What exactly do you mean by that? Just having more trees than the opponent, or is there something else more to that?
Right, there's every single time you do a randomizer seed, you are guaranteed to have to spend the amount of time to visit every single tree. However, if you and your opponent are both enter searching for the dungeon keys, which are Water Vein and Sunstone, but you've made the play to push for more trees instead or earlier, by the time you both decide you need to start digging for those dungeon keys, you are guaranteed to have to spend less time finishing the seed than your opponent just by having that tree advantage. So having extra trees activated earlier, which are required to be able to finish the seed, can play off in the late game, especially in starve situations.
Mm-hmm. Now, Infinite has been doing, significantly more checking, but does end up at the Stomp Tree just the same. Unfortunately, that extra checking hasn't particularly paid off for him, although he does have a significant extra number of map stones over Fluffy. So if we see a clue like Water Vein on a map stone, or if it just so happens that Bash is on a map stone as well, then that could potentially pay off for him, that extra bit of searching. But for now, I would say, yeah, Fluffy's advantage of having checked more trees, or rather of rushing trees, is going to be one that pays off in the moment.
Yeah, an amazing thing too, Hobbs, that we mentioned earlier is that we know Sunstone is in Sorrow. So because we have Glide, because we have Charge Jump, we're going to be able to get access to all of Sorrow, and especially with that grenade pickup, now like one grenade block spot. So with this, Fluffy is going to be able to make the play for Sunstone and decide to dig more in this area. So he's going to be able to make up for lost ground on those extra resources his opponent has from digging, but then also Bash could be in here. It is entirely possible. So if Fluffy ends up just digging all the way through here, finding Sunstone, finding Bash, getting another tree, this is going to pay off for him huge and give him a huge lead going into the lake.
Definitely could. I am kind of impressed by Fluffy's, movement through, like, from the teleporter area, using a nice charge jump and then an air dash to kind of redirect the damage, portion of the charge jump in order to break that wall. Always a really nice skill to know in Rando, and really good to see Fluffy kind of pull that one out. We'll see if Infinite goes left soon. I believe he has not gotten that Sorrow teleporter yet for himself, so he would have to kind of end up going past the Ginso tree on that right side of Swamp and finding it before he moves on. But other than that, does he even have any more trees available to him on the right side at the moment?
No, not currently. He actually does have to make a play for left side, and if Sorrow TP is indeed that gating factor, this is going to be really difficult for Infinite to be able to work his way over. He does have enough health, though, and resources, which is great, to be able to damage boost through this, like, one Bash section going through Hollow Grove, and that looks like it might be what he's opting for.
Yeah, and I think he's maybe more concerned with the pickups as well, in this immediate area. A lot of stuff that was skipped earlier on, both a lot of pickups in Hollow Grove, but also just in Valley entry. So might be hoping to get bailed out by Valley entry here and find Bash there. Of course, we already saw Fluffy go there earlier. Fluffy, speaking of which, also finds the Sunstone on the right side of that Spike Cave now. So search over there. Unfortunately, that means that Bash has still not been found and probably, won't be found in Sorrow here. And right now it's just a tree rush for Fluffy to find his final clue.
Yeah, so in each 3 trees, as we mentioned, we get a clue. At 6 trees, we get the second one, and that was Gumon Seal, which is also in Sorrow. But we still have no idea where Water Vein is. And Sunstone and Water Vein, the 2 keys that are guaranteed to be required to finish every single seed. And so Fluffy is just wanting to dig for that information to be able to know exactly where the next sort of dig location for him is to be for that water.
All right, and you called it. Infinite is actually going to be attempting this damage boost sequence break into Valley here. Gonna go back and drop a save, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Trying to do this without Bash. This is pretty rough without an exorbitant number of health cells and potentially ultra defense, but he is looking pretty good on health cells. Actually has 9, so not quite getting on the first attempt here, but I believe that he should be able to get this within a few tries.
Yeah, this is really impressive play by him. He may not be entirely comfortable with this, but he found a spot you're supposed to charge jump off and gets up there second try. That is absolutely insane. What a difficult trick.
Oh, and dodges the bird as well. Always good to see. So great job from Infinite. Going to be checking a few more pickups on the right side of Valley here. I think this isn't a bad call, even if you are rushing trees, just because you pretty much never want to come back to this right side of Valley. So even though like he knows Bash can't really show up here, it would still kind of be more helpful if he later finds, oh, you know, Water Vein is a Valley clue. Let me just clear all this out on the right side first, and then he could just rush to the trees from there. Oh, but not even going to check the one pickup off to the left there, so maybe not too concerned about it right now.
Yeah, and Fluffy is skipping a couple of pickups here in Misty, so if Water Vein is in Misty, he's not only going to have to potentially reset the area, but he may also have to finish out.
Oh, Water Vein in Blackroot. Okay, so there are a handful of pickups that could be before it is grenade locked. Obviously, both of our runners have grenades, so being grenade locked isn't a problem. But I believe there's a couple pickups that are incredibly difficult to do without Bash in the lower portion of Blackroot. So something that could play a factor here.
Yeah, for sure. Not having Bash for lower Blackroot can make it very, very difficult. Luckily, they do have clean water, so no ultra defense is going to be required for Fluffy, but Fluffy also skipping dash. No, he got dash blanks. They had wall jump and sea jump, excuse me.
Yes.
But just coming back over here to check a pickup or two over here. I think he might... Okay, yeah, he does have both. Before he's going to be heading into the Lost Grove area.
Taking out some of the enemies along the way, trying to just make sure that they're not a problem. Doesn't try to go for any kind of movement during that cutscene, which is not a bad idea, given the high propensity for falling all the way back down to the bottom. Unfortunately, just finds an energy cell. Not something that is a bad pickup to see, but is not, you know, Water Vein, which is the main search here right now. A few more pickups before it's going to be significantly longer to potentially find this one.
Yeah, and over on the left, we're seeing Infinite check 2 pickups that don't appear to be in Sorrow, but just how the game was programmed and the maps were generated, these pickups that are kind of in Valley are actually considered to be in Sorrow. So nice checks there from Infinite. Found the Gumon seal, not really going to be important for this seed itself, but that is just also going to be nice cleanup from him, as he is going to be heading up into Sorrow now.
All right, Fluffy has checked the final pickup in this, you know, kind of immediate lower Blackroot area, and it's going to have to head down into the depths of Lost Grove. That requires several grenade puzzles, which just all take time, and obviously puts those pickups we were talking about that kind of semi-require Bash. Later on, we'll see if Fluffy is able to, you know, get around those requirements, or if he ends up having to go search for it later.
Yeah, just using Glide and spamming the heck out of Grenade is going to be able to nuke his enemies away. Nicely done from Fluffy, as he is going to be the first to enter Lost Grove, and Fluffy definitely in a lead here right now. Infinite not quite finding the Sorrow TP made it difficult, but doing a really nice trick known as a Terror Break to break that ceiling to get access into Upper Sorrow. We're going to see what he exactly ends up doing after he places his save. Does he go to the right? He does!
Oh,
so
wow.
Infinite going to find Sunstone pretty quickly here, and then be able to make it over to Charge Jump Tree. Wow!
Oh, man. Fluffy is just doing his best to dodge as many fish as he can because he doesn't have Bash to get off them. That is super funny, but not going to be in the water here means that Fluffy's going to have to go around that right side set of puzzles. First going to take an intentional death here without the use of Bash. Now, 6 health is probably enough to not really need to worry about it at all. Bash is really mainly concerned down here if you don't have a lot of health to do damage boost, or if you don't have double jump or something. So it's going to turn this into a bit of a slower section, but one that I don't think he's going to have much of a problem with.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Remembering exactly how to do that casual puzzle instead of like speedrun strats is really good. Like, it's very easy in a lot of these situations to forget how to do it. And oh my goodness!
Oh man, still not there.
So this last pickup here, this cutscene, you can get past it with something known as a grenade jump, but we don't have access to that trick right now. So we're going to get a little bit of lore, or we're going to see Fluffy do blind movement for about a minute and a half. Yeah, he's choosing to do the lore.
Oh, wow. So yeah, he's just going to straight up watch it. If Infinite, I mean, Infinite's a little far behind at this point. I don't suspect that he is going to be able to kind of catch up in this race at the moment. But if somehow he rushes his trees quick enough and knows the skip for this this cutscene, or rather how to gain movement during it, and then you could skip it once you've ulted, that could catch him up quite a bit of time, because Fluffy's going to be sitting here for a solid 70-75 seconds or so.
Yeah, but now Infinite heading into Misty without Bash. This section is pretty tricky, but he has a lot of energy, he has a lot of health, and having double jump and dash to be able to get past these sections makes it quite a bit more manageable. But so far so good. Not taking any damage is actually pretty impressive from Infinite. Finding that mega health is going to get him a little bit of a safety net here. Okay,
Fluffy is still watching a cutscene. Infinite racing his way through Misty as quick as he can. And it's unfortunate that Misty happens to be, you know, the other tree that he had left. If it had been something a little bit quicker, you know, like a stomp or the grenade tree, something like that, then we might potentially see this duality of both of them in this cutscene at the same time or something like that. But unfortunately, not going to work out for Infinite here. It's a pretty long trek to this climb tree, but it's really kind of showcasing exactly how long this pickup is, or this cutscene rather.
Yeah, it's pretty insane too, because our runners are not allowed to watch each other's streams or have any idea of how each is progressing through the seed. So not having that information, Infinite doesn't know whether he's ahead or behind, and same for Fluffy.
There's a teleporter just past that pickup, so kind of funny Fluffy deciding to return to the start of the game instead of just heading over to that teleporter, just saying, no, screw you, Blackroot, I'm done with you. I'm leaving as quickly as possible.
I reject this teleporter.
That is going to send him up to Swamp now. You can see the spams of the water vein out of anger. And Fluffy is going to be able to head up through Ginso and complete the game. Now, I don't believe Bash could be... Well, no. Bash, I don't think, could be showing up here. Well, maybe it could, actually. I'm not 100% sure because of where Water Vein was. It's a little confusing as to whether Bash could be here or not.
I think maybe the damage boost through the spikes to be able to get to the lever might disclude that one pickup from logic for Bash. Yeah, I don't know. But Fluffy in Ginso now has plenty of keystones to be able to work through this area. This is going to be his final tree, and he does have Sunstone. So after this, he's going to be making his way to the final escape, while Infinite is now heading down into lower Blackroot. We're going to see exactly what he ends up deciding as to where to go. Immediately heading on over to the right in order to check these pickups. Let's see if he actually, backtracks to the left for the pickups near Grenade Tree.
Yeah, not a bad call. I mean, while it is a little time consuming to get these two pickups, there's not a great way to do your routing otherwise. Oh, wow. Kind of flies all the way up there and almost sniped that shot without having to break, you know, these gross, like, yellow-green brambles, but not quite able to. Gonna have to do the puzzle as intended, and then find that, unfortunately, only despair lies in wait behind that door.
Oh, man. Yeah, so Infinite's on their way to be able to go into lore percent to be able to grab the water vein. Fluffy now activating his final tree, has all 11 skill locations, or 10 that are tracked by us, and then is going to now be heading on over to Mount Koru to be able to start and finish his final escape with a nice, healthy lead ahead of his opponent.
Yeah, so the only real hope here for Infinite at this point is if Fluffy just gets completely infinited by the final escape. Not something I would expect to see here. It is a tough escape to do without Bash, but even if you decide to kind of damage boost in one of the rooms where Bash greatly assists you, they have clean water, so they don't need to worry about their health management quite as much. They can afford that damage boost. And I believe Fluffy has gotten to Ultra Defense, or at least should get to Ultra Defense, although I could be mistaken on that factor.
Yeah, the nice thing is that I believe he has at least 6 health. Yeah, and health regen as well. So he'll be able to take like 1 hit of damage, and then having clean water, as you mentioned, is going to be a really, really nice safety factor with getting through. So all he's going to have to worry about is revenge at the fish at the end, and maybe some of the other rooms that could give him a little bit of trouble. But knowing Fluffy, I'm sure he's going to be strong as he heads into his attempts for door warp, or should I just say single attempt? Because
hey, there you go. And as you mentioned, Fluffy has been around for the randomizer for a while. That grabs the validation XP just for fun. And we say that just as a joke. Obviously, that one experience pickup is so unlikely to be anything useful for logic that we tend to just kind of use it for fun when seeds have been a little bit mean. But yeah, like you said, Fluffy's been around for a while in the rando, so very likely it's he knows how to get through this escape without bash, which is a skill that is kind of takes a lot of learning, I would say, in the rando. But once you've learned it once you've done it a couple times, then you kind of have your plan.
Right, exactly. The final escape's a really interesting factor because usually we think about skills as being the gating factor for being able to access skilled trees to be able to finish out the seed. But the final escape is really difficult to get through if you don't have the skills that you're used to going. And nicely done from Fluffy getting through that elemental room first try. That was the one damage boost that he had to do. He didn't have to do it, but like the backup strat for that is insanely difficult. And using Sea Flame to push away these fish is a really nice strat by him as he's heading to the final room.
Even skips the Kuro trigger to the final room here. Fluffy just putting on a clinic of how to do this final escape bashless.
Wow.
Going to be able to climb up with triple jump and head over to the right. And there it is. GG to Fluffy, going to be holding right for the next minute and 20 as he, attempts to, or as he finishes off the seed, rather. I was saying attempts because I started looking over at Infinite, who is heading down into this water, still looking for that water vein for himself. He sees that his opponent has not finished yet in the SRL chat, but unfortunately, it's too little too late. He has actually already checked that grenade puzzle as well, so he knows now this is in the final pickup here.
Yeah, this is pretty incredible. This is like the one of the trolliest pickups in the entire game, and Infinite is going to do a save anywhere, so we're going to see if they're able to do the blind movement to be able to get to the pickup.
Yeah, so there is a kind of a trick with the save anywhere. It's a little different than normal. You wait for that cutscene to begin, and then you level up with the save anywhere, and that gains you, movement. Now, you can't jump in some of these areas, so it can be a little tricky sometimes to get up to where the pickup actually is. But once you are able to get up there and you see that you've gotten it, you can Alt R to return back to the start of the game, place a save, and reload the game. And it looks like Infinite does know about this, although I didn't quite see him actually get the pickup. So yeah, he tried to place a save and reload the game, hoping that it would work in this context. But I believe you actually do need to be out of the scene for where this cutscene is occurring.
And there he is. He got a little bit lost, and so is just going to opt to play around in the cutscene before moving on. And nicely done from Fluffy, finishing with a 34-58 on a bashless seed, taking a win here. So Fluffy was down 0-2 coming into this match, putting his first win on the board and going up to 1-2, and on a steady pace with an impressive gameplay to push on into his next 2 matches potentially.
Yeah, what an incredibly fast seed this was, especially for not ever finding bash. I mean, we saw these runners start rushing trees, or at least Fluffy, at like the 14-minute mark or something, maybe 16. That is really nice to see. Everything kind of just fell into place for Fluffy, I would say. Infinite, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot in terms of the dynamic to talk about in terms of who did what route, because Infinite naturally just ended up kind of following the same route Fluffy did, with the unfortunate exception that he never found the Sorrow teleporter, and he just did a few more checks early on, hoping to find bash, and it never paid off. So I would say both runners, had the same idea for this seed for the most part, and just unfortunately it came down to known wing skip pickups and the really, great execution that we saw from Fluffy.
Yeah, and I really like the decision by both of the runners to opt to stop digging for bash and just go for trees. And the reason for that is because we had clean water, we had grenade, we had Sorrow TP, as well as the skills to be able to get through Sorrow. So, grenade could have been, anywhere on the map, man. It would have been so insane to just, try and find that with any certain probability whatsoever. But Infinite now in Ginso tree is going to be heading on up to grab their final tree, and they have plenty of keystones, so no worries for getting through that last keystone door that Infinite's going to have to open before heading on over to Mount Koru.
I know it is kind of funny, right, that grenade ended up showing up in Grotto while they were still rushing, or while they were still checking pickups.
Yeah.
Because there is actually an extra grenade pickup in the game that is placed, it's a hard-coded pickup effectively, in order to help mitigate those problems when you do have something like lower Blackroot water vein, right? Where you need a grenade. And the thing is that it's in Forlorn is where that is. And Infinite's the only one who found the Gumon seal. Fluffy didn't. So that could have been a huge factor if they decided, you know, hey, Infinite's like, all right, I'm going to go into Forlorn and immediately go get my grenade pickup. Fluffy, meanwhile, has to search in Sorrow more for the Gumon seal, or has to, you know, search for grenade around the map. That could have been a really big factor, but unfortunately, not quite what happened in this case, where they just showed up more or less for free, and luckily they were able to just progress on and grab that water vein. Now Infinite's going to be heading to the end of the game.
Yeah, here we go. So Infinite's going to be going back to the start area one more time before teleporting back to spawn in order to go left and head on over to Mount Horu. And having the same skill set as Fluffy, I'm sure Infinite's going to have no trouble being able to work through the final escape. Once again, they do have to take that 1 damage boost in that elemental room, so we're going to see how Infinite ends up handling that, as well as the lantern room. But quad jump, charge jump, and dash, definitely going to be making a lot of these situations a lot more manageable and forgiving.
And important to note, Infinite actually does have 9 health. That's not a mega health, I don't think. I'm pretty sure he's just found that many more health cells than Fluffy because of that earlier searching. So it's, you know, he's probably not going to be at nearly as much of a disadvantage in this final escape without Bash. Granted, Fluffy made it first try anyway, so the you know, lower health didn't really end up mattering for him. But Infinite, I don't know how, you know, confident he is with a Bashless escape. Obviously enough to go do it right now, but we'll see, you know, how that plays out for him here with the 9 health.
Yeah, and here we go. Infinite going to be going into the door warp attempts. And here we go. The first one is not good, so just has to quit and reload and try again. He has to enter the door on the first frame. He has control of Ori. Nice, and gets it second try.
Also checking the validation XP. Wonder if this was something that they had planned on ahead of time, or if Infinite's just, you know, if they both were like, oh, the seed was that bad, I want to check it. Or if Infinite was like, oh, I already see that Fluffy's done, so I'm just going to pick it up anyways.
Yeah, Climb could be there. It could be there.
Now, I think, was Infinite going for... Yeah, so Infinite was using the game storage technique that was only found a month ago or something like that. Or a couple months ago, in order to actually gain control during that cutscene as it was playing and effectively skip it. So that's really cool to see from Infinite. That's another, you know, very small frame window trick that we don't see a lot in Rando.
Yeah, so Infinite actually running out of energy there. Oh man, has to give the final escape another attempt. The really tricky thing with this menu storage is that you don't actually get your energy refilled, I believe. And so it can cause some really difficult, but is he? Oh no, he was able to get through. Okay.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, so you have to do that movement kind of blind, kind of off screen. And yeah, not having the energy refill can be a little rough. I believe he has charge dash efficiency, so at least that's a thing. He's going to be a little bit more careful about his energy management this time through, and he gets through, you know, perfectly that time. Definitely just was a, oh, whoa, I wasn't expecting to not have energy here kind of situation for him last time.
Yeah, nicely done. Taking care of this fish in a cautious manner, just in case. But spawns Kuro, so he's going to be on a timer here.
Oh, come on! No, you know what? I'm calling BS on that from the game on that one. That he totally got there. He got behind the cover. His time should be like a minute lower. That one's on the game.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I like that. He was underneath the thing. Come on. There's so many triggers like that are just like a little further away than you expect.
Yeah, but that's okay. He'll get through this time, hopefully without even spawning Kuro, or even if he does, maybe use a charge dash instead of an air dash, get over to the right a little bit quicker. We'll see. First, gonna have to deal with these fish. Gonna blink away at them. Oh wait,
what?
What?
Wait, is this a soft block? Does he have to backload? Oh my god!
I mean, he's gonna. What?
He has the door warp again? Oh, thank God that autosave was right at door warp.
Okay, so I guess something about game storage persisted after a death?
Wait, and his save is still there. What is going on?
Wait, what? Why is the save still there?
Yeah, why is the save there? What the heck? Oh my goodness. Yeah.
All right. Here's what happened. So he got behind cover. and the game was like, okay, all right, now you think you maybe should have lived there, and we understand. But for some reason, we're just going to completely disagree, and we're going to disagree so hard that we're just going to make you go all the way back and just look at your save again for who knows what reason, just to taunt you.
Yeah.
What happened? That was so weird.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. The game probably heard us complaining at it and decided, no.
I want to hear from the experts who know a little bit more about how game storage works than we do later and find out exactly what happened there. But Infinite this time, skipping that Kuro trigger, is going to finally be able to make it all the way up to the all the way up to almost all right, and there we go, all the way up to the top of the tree. Should be able to hold right now. GG to Infinite, a well played final escape for the laughs at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of interesting here that our runners entered in with different win-loss records coming in, but they are going to be exiting with the same. Infinite taking a loss here, going down to 1 and 2, but not quite out of qualifying for brackets yet. We'll just have to win the next 2 matches in a row to be able to do so, as well as Fluffy. So GG to Fluffy for taking the win here. And I really hope we get to hear from both of our runners about how they felt about this seed.
Yeah, and I mean, subjectively, that was kind of the best outcome that could have happened out of this seed, right? Like, out of this match. Like you said, Fluffy, not eliminated. Infinite, still not eliminated yet either. If the victory had swung the other way, then we would have seen Fluffy completely out of the running for the bracket stage, which would, of course, put a damper on his future matches. So now we get to see them both in the same round again next time. I believe that they will not face each other. I think that the system works to avoid rematches. But they'll be in the same pool of opponents, right? So it'll be interesting to see which one each gets matched up with.
Yeah, for sure. And so now Infinite in the last leg, just like 10 seconds until we stop, and is going to be walking across with Naro and finishing with an overall time of 44:30. GG.
All right, fantastic. Ends up finishing about 10 minutes behind Fluffy, but I mean, you really can't, that's not what the execution level was, right?
No.
Like, so much of that was because game storage was being really weird, just being a complete jerk. So Infinite, I still would say, I mean, they basically took the same route. We talked about it earlier, right? Like, yeah, it just came down to Infinite checked a few more pickups, maybe a little less perfect on the execution, and Fluffy just happened to check the pickups that mattered to get that Sorrow TP.
Right, that's Sorrow TP really coming in clutch, and so Fluffy being able to avoid damage boosting through Hollow Grove and Valley entry to be able to get up to that left side of the map, but nicely done from both runners, and it looks like we do indeed have both of them on the deck as I'm going to be pulling them in. GG to both of you guys on this past seed.
GG.
Thanks, GG.
Yo, Fluffy. All right, so first question to you. I really liked your routing decisions in this match. What was sort of the point where you realized you had go mode for skills and just stopped deciding to dig? Like, especially in that Moon Grotto section.
I don't really remember. I think I was going. No, I went into Grotto after I got Grenade, I think.
Grenade was in Grotto just past the water vein.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah,
yes. So
maybe that was when I stopped checking stuff.
Yeah. So was it more of a strat that you decided to push trees and not really check out of the way pickups? Or did you have a different game plan?
So first off, my Discord voice connection went red. Okay, now it's good. But I think a little bit before Grenade, I started feeling like I'm probably go mode with the things that I have, because I didn't have Grenade or Double Jump, which I had at the end then, and I had Glide and Wind Restored, so I didn't feel like there were that many problems, and I also had Clean Water, so health wasn't a problem.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see, when each of you decided to start rushing trees, because Infinite on your side, it wasn't much later that you started, but unfortunately just a little bit too late. What were you hoping for when kind of doing more of the full clear of Grotto and checking a few more pickups on the way to Stomp, stuff like that. Were you, I mean, I gotta guess you were just looking for Bash at that point.
Yeah, I was looking basically just for any pickup. Bash would be great. And yeah, I was just looking if I can find fast anything. And yeah.
I do want to ask you one question as well about that final escape, Infinite, because wow, what a wild ride with the game storage. I mean, so was game storage for the final escape something that you have done before that you're comfortable with normally, or was that kind of improv?
I'm not comfortable with it. I just tried it and I did it, and I learned it when it was discovered. So
okay,
yeah.
And then we saw a weird quirk about it at the end, where for some reason your path to the exit was blocked off. I mean, had you ever seen that before? Like, because Muffin and I were sitting here just completely confused.
Yeah.
No, I was confused as well.
Oh man! All right, so Fluffy, for your left side play, when you got the Sorrow TP, what was sort of your mindset for just like scouring through Sorrow? Did you have like sort of a plan for navigating through the area to find Sunstone, or were you just also trying to dig for something else?
I was pretty much just looking for Sunstone and Sorrow because I didn't feel like I needed Gumon Seal, and I didn't know where Water Vein was. So I was just looking for a Sunstone, and I was probably just go like top to bottom, going through noob spikes first, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it happened to turn out that Sunstone was there, so didn't have to do a whole lot of checking, right?
Yeah.
Infinite, how confident were you? Because you actually didn't find the Sorrow teleporter, obviously, and had to do all the damage boosting to get into Valley and all that. Was there any part of you that was like, okay, I'm gonna be more comfortable with this play because I know I already have Wind restored, so getting further, getting up into Sorrow isn't going to be an issue once I get into Valley? Was it the amount of health you had that gave you the confidence to do that sequence break into Valley? What was the thought process there?
Yeah, I knew I can clear Sorrow with my pickup, so I knew my health is fine, so I went for it.
Well, and it only took, 2 tries, I think? So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, it was really impressive. All right, cool. Well, this is going to end up doing it for us for this match. GG, Fluffy, and Infinite. Both of you are going to be 1 and 2 now into the bracket. So just one final question for you guys. Do you have like a sort of a hopeful opponent or like a goal for being able to finish out into the Swiss round? Or are you just going to try and go into your next matches and take it one at a time? Starting with you, Fluffy, I guess. Go on.
I don't know. I don't really know. All I know is that I want to go up against Gecko because he said fight me.
And how about for you, Infinite?
Yeah, I don't have anyone who I would want to face, but yeah, let's see who I get.
Awesome, great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining in the interview, as always. Major shoutouts to people who are trucking for us today. Ozzy and Nance, thank you so much for the help, as well as Tara for restreaming. And Hobbs, dude, this was a pleasure. Thanks so much for commentating.
Yeah, always a fun one.
Yeah, but that being said, up next at 3 p.m. Eastern is going to be none other than Oosh versus Didu, and that is also going to be on Speed Gaming too. So we're going to be throwing up a splash screen as we get our runners ready, and that will be in just over 30 minutes. So we will see you guys then.